Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Greg Olson, and I'm the director of the New York State Office for Aging. Really excited for our program today. Many of you may or may not know that March is National Nutrition Month. It's also March for Meals, where we do plan a lot of events around the state to draw attention to how important the nutrition program is in the lives of older New Yorkers. You may not know that the New York State Office for Aging, with our 59 county offices for aging partners and their partners, administer the nation's largest nutrition program, providing more than 20 million meals to almost 250,000 people every single day. In fact, since 1975, which is when the nutrition program started here in New York State, the network has served more than 1 billion meals since 1975, and I think that's a spectacular accomplishment. But the nutrition program is more than just a meal. We're going to be talking about that today. It's a real health and safety program. There's several different components to it, and we'll explain exactly what we mean by that in a second. We'll be right back.
Now, live with Greg Olson, Director of the New York State Office for the Aging.
So what you saw there was actually one of our central kitchens located here in Albany. And we couldn't do what we do without not only the paid staff, but so many volunteers. We have almost 900,000 volunteers in New York, providing 474 million hours of service at a value of $13.2 billion. And a lot of those individuals are in the nutrition program, whether they're helping to prepare food at a congregate site, delivering meals at a congregate site, or providing transportation to home-delivered meals to over 2,400 routes throughout New York State. So it's quite an operation. And I'm really excited for the two guests that I have today, two great leaders of two counties, Chautauqua County and St. Lawrence County. Today I've got Dana Corwin. She's the director of the Chautauqua County Office for the Aging. And again, great at what she does and a great leader, along with Andrea Montgomery, who's the director of the St. Lawrence County Office for Aging. Again, another great individual, great leader. I had the opportunity this year as part of our March for Meals to visit Andrea, her team, her volunteers in St. Lawrence County, help prepare the meals, help serve them, and go on a home delivered meal route. And we do that every year to really raise awareness of, again, how important the program is, but to try to get more volunteers, try to get more donations so we can expand our services. So if you don't know where Chautauqua is, that is in the most southern western part of the state. People know about Jamestown, but it's on the Pennsylvania border. And St. Lawrence County is the largest county geographically in New York State, and that is in the North Country, 2 counties away from Plattsburgh, or right next to the Watertown area on the St. Lawrence River. So again, welcome both of you. I'm really excited to have this conversation today. I know you guys are always knee deep in the basic operations of what you do, which includes the nutrition program. So Dana, let me start with you. Take a moment to tell us a little bit more about your role. So what it is you do on a day-to-day basis and how it relates to the nutrition program, not only within your county, but you're part of something so much larger across the state.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me today. I'm real excited to be here. March, National Nutrition Month, and the theme at the national level, A Place at the Table, is really kind of where we come from in Chautauqua County with regards to our nutrition program and services. So I'm the director at the Office for Aging Services. I've been in the position now since January 1, and I'm excited to be here. Although that sounds new, I've been at the agency for just about 17 plus years. So I've worked in many programs, and nutrition is our largest program. And we're very excited to have a lot of different options in Chautauqua County that I think are somewhat unique to the area that we serve, being a rural community. So happy to be here, but as director, I oversee all of the programs and outreach and monitoring and working with older adults in our community to find out what they really need to age well in our community.
Yeah, and thank you. I know that you came into your county the same time I came to the New York State Office for Aging. So you may be new, but you're not new. So, Andrea, same with you. Again, I think people don't really get that this year is the 60th anniversary of the Older Americans Act, which established the nutrition program in 1972. I mean, it is the cornerstone of what this network does. Now, we do a lot of things, but nutrition is, frankly, it's huge. Talk about your role and the impact as well.
Sure. First of all, again, thanks for having me. So yeah, I think nutrition programs are a critical component of keeping someone safe and healthy in their home for as long as possible. Certainly it's the most requested service that we have every single day. I've been here at St. Lawrence County for about 10 and a half, almost 11 years. Prior to that, worked in the developmental disability field. And I would say, we think about older adults aging in place and what do they need, what services and supports do they need to do that. And certainly that's where they reach out to our offices so that we can help them find the programs and services that they need so that they can do so, as I always say, in a safe and healthy manner for as long as they are able to do that. And then certainly help them transition to another level of care if that's what they're choosing. But certainly nutrition, if we didn't have those hot meals that meet their nutrient guidelines, I don't know what folks would do. And especially in these times where the cost of food is incredibly high, I think these programs are vital.
I agree with you. And I think if we'll have viewers probably in urban areas, and maybe even across state lines. But for people who've never been to New York, they think of New York City. They have no idea that the majority of the state is rural. And both of your counties, well, a lot of the upstate counties certainly are. And, we know what the demographics are of the people who are on these programs. They're overwhelmingly female. They're low income. They live alone. They have a lot of chronic conditions and functional impairments. So I agree with you. I don't know what they would do without the program. So Alex had brought up earlier, there's really 4 components to our nutrition program in New York State. It's congregate meals, home delivered meals, nutrition counseling, and nutrition ed. Let's start, and we'll start with you this time, Andrea. Talk about what a congregate meal is, and are there guidelines or standards that you have to meet or we have to meet in terms of quality of food?
Absolutely. So yeah, congregate dining is a great option for people to get out of the house, come to a nutrition center, a senior center, however your county has it organized, to sit down for a meal with a group of peers. It's wonderful for socialization. We know loneliness and depression, isolation is a huge issue for older adults. So taking advantage of this congregate dining opportunity to certainly, reestablish connections maybe in your community, meet some friends. And there's a suggested contribution, depending on what county you're in. In St. Lawrence County, it's $3 suggested, but nobody's turned away due to inability or unwillingness to contribute. As I say, we just want to feed people, right? If you need food, we want to help you. We want to feed you.
I will tell you, when I was at your congregate site, I did provide the donation. And I've been fortunate. I've been eating congregate meals for 33 years, and I've never had a bad one. So I think the food quality is amazing. And, Andrea, one of the things that I'm always impressed with when I visit places, and this was true for Allegheny County, it was true for St. Lawrence County, is a lot of the volunteers are older, but you also have younger volunteers and staff. And the woman who took us out on the route was much younger, but so incredibly passionate and dedicated. So let me ask you, Dana, can any older adult go to a congregate site? Is there a cost? Is there eligibility? How does that work?
Over 60, able to get out, they can come to the congregate site. Our congregate sites are a little interesting. We've been trying to really adapt our services to the changing lifestyles and needs of our older adults. So when we think about traditional congregate sites, and we talk about them as community built around a table. what we really want is that social aspect to feed into the nutritional construct of what we're offering the people. What we know is that physical health, mental health, and social health all improve. One with good nutrition. You've heard that expression that good nutrition is the core of good health, that food is medicine. And those things are all true. So we want our older adults to be experiencing that in that setting. So community built around a table. We offer 2 what I'll call traditional congregate sites that are typically in a church or a community center or senior housing. And we've got 2 that are very robust. One that we opened just recently in January. And I think we have a little footage on that one that we'll bring up eventually. But it's a great opportunity for people to pull in together. There's our congregate site that we opened in January of this year. We had about 60 people come. They're not all in that picture, but we had a great time opening the center, hearing stories and sharing laughter and building community around a table. This particular site meets twice a week, and they are averaging about 70 to 75 people each time. So it's a great opportunity. And I said we have traditional and kind of non-traditional. So many years ago, I think one of the things I'm so impressed with about New York State Office for the Aging is that they offer all of the area agencies on aging the opportunity to really dive into cutting edge and up-to-date opportunities. So we started a restaurant dining program. So we now have 4 local restaurants. That's our church that we opened up in January. The other traditional congregate is at a fire hall. But we have 4 local restaurants that are participating in our dining out program, building community around a table. And we've initiated kind of a branding in Chautauqua County. And I'm going to hold this up. I didn't send a picture, but this is what we call the CHQ Aging Card. And this is kind of a point of sale card for folks that go out in the dining program to our local restaurants. They can get together with family and friends. They can go visit these local restaurants, choose a selection of their choice off a senior dine menu, which offers options and choice. And then they have an evening out or a breakfast out with family and friends. And it's a great opportunity to socialize. You know, one of the things that was interesting to me when I moved here, I'm from Maryland in the DC area, a very urban city area, worked in big hospitals for many, many years. But the people in rural communities, they know each other and they know each other intimately and they look out for each other, which is so important. So to go to one of our local restaurants that's been in business for 50, 60, 70, 80 years and have the older adults there just yucking it up, having a good time, sharing stories, sharing recipes, talking about food, that's really where socialization and nutrition meet in a very positive way. And they become medicine for the soul.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that you said to unpack there. I think that there's a myth or a stereotype a lot of times about congregate meal sites. I mean, we have over 800 of them in New York State, and they're all different. Many of them provide a variety of activities, as you mentioned, because socialization is so important, from exercise to games. We've embedded things like Discover Live for people to congregate and take a world tour. But that part of it is so important. I'm glad you mentioned the restaurant program. That seems to be something that's picking up steam around the state. And we also implemented a portable grab and go option. And that was absolutely critical during the pandemic when everything was shut down. So people that would traditionally go to a congregate meal site could just drive in. But then we saw the census go up immensely because people obviously had to eat. So let's switch over to Andrea. Let's talk about the home delivered meal program. Who is the fit for the home delivered meal program, and how do people get connected to that?
Sure. The home delivered meal program is for that older adult that's primarily homebound. It doesn't mean they can't ever leave their house. We get that question a lot. It just means they have two or more diseases or illnesses that make them primarily homebound, or sometimes it might be somebody who has a temporarily disabling condition. They had surgery, and they're not going to be able to prepare meals for themselves for a while. And so all they need to do is call our office, and we are able to refer them through to our New York Connects program, where they have an assessment and where we discuss the program for them. We operate here in St. Lawrence County. We have 5 congregate dining sites, and out of those sites, we have 26 home delivered meal routes going out. Again, as you mentioned, the geographical size of St. Lawrence County, we really, need probably that much more in order to reach as many people as possible. We can have runs that would be anywhere from about 3 hours a day. So, home delivered meals is that great option for that person who they can't get out anymore. They have some health conditions, but they still want to make sure that they're getting their nutrition, that they're not just opening up a can of soup or eating a bowl of cereal, as so many of us do when we don't have to cook for someone else. I think, our patterns change in what we do, because why am I going to make a big meal just for myself? And certainly, as Dana said, right, food is medicine. So if you're, opening that can of soup, or you're with the sodium levels, or you're having the sugary cereal, it's not going to meet the nutrient requirements that you need. Plus, as I always say, these are good home cooked meals. I like you, Greg. I've never had a bad meal. We stick to kind of what this generation of folks likes to eat: chicken and biscuits, turkey dinner, ham and scallop potatoes. So I think, that's always very appealing to folks, because, if I'm one person in a house, I'm not sitting and cooking turkey dinner for myself. Like, nobody is going to do that. And certainly not as you get older, and it might be more difficult for you to do so.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, all the meals have to, or at least we require, have to meet the highest federal standards. And how that's done is through a registered dietitian or somebody within that nutrient space that can approve menus, make sure, again, that the dietary requirements or restrictions that people need are actually followed to maintain their health. So both of you, I guarantee, have gone on home delivered meal routes. I know, Andrea, you have, because I was with you. And Dana, I can't imagine that you haven't either. And I thought one of the great things in St. Lawrence when we went was, luckily, the time we were able to spend with each individual, and how much they appreciated having the meal delivered. I remember one gentleman who was working on his property, had stepped out of his bucket loader into a hole, and wound up, severely messing up his back, and couldn't get out of bed for more than 2 months, Andrea. And that's how he became one of your clients. But to hear stories like that, these are everyday people that might need them short term or might need them long term. But what I'd like you guys to talk about is not only your experience going on a route, but we haven't really talked about how important the safety and wellness check is that the drivers perform every single day. So talk a little bit about that for me.
Anybody go?
Sure.
I'm going to go.
I think that is one of the biggest bonuses to home delivered meals, is the ability for the volunteer or the driver or whomever is working with that client is to interact with them. And that safety piece is vital. We've been doing a lot of work in Chautauqua County about really refining the actual client's needs. So we find that, not everybody needs that safety check, but when they do, it is really a lifeline to the outside. Our drivers, our volunteers have found folks that are ill or suffered a fall or an accident of some type, like at home, and they've been the ones to call for assistance for them. So we cannot underscore the value of the safety check for our people that are dependent and may only see that individual. That might be the only person they see all day. So it's imperative that we continue to offer this service and be able to expand it as we need to in our areas. It's vital to the health of our people. And
Andrea, you don't just, the driver just doesn't come in like a paper boy and throw the meal out. So the individual is going to knock on the door of the customer on their route. The door doesn't get answered. What happens?
So yeah, great. Then we our safety protocols, right? We're banging on the door because it might be someone hard of hearing. And the nice thing about the assessments is we have kind of sheets that tell us all of that information, right? So we know who we have to bang on the door. We know who we have to open the door and yell in so that they hear us. But if someone doesn't answer the door, they haven't notified our office, we immediately go into emergency protocols. We are, first of all, calling the client. Maybe they've fallen asleep. They didn't hear the door. Then if we can't get them, we're calling their emergency contacts. If the emergency contacts don't tend to know where they are or we can't get them, we are calling local hospitals if we need to. We have a really good pulse on the state of our clients in any given day because those home delivered meal drivers, whether they be volunteers or staff, they know their people. And they know when, hey, something didn't look right. You know what? Yesterday, Mr. Smith, he seemed really tired. So having that knowledge is also a critical component of us being able to get in and help the people. We are tracking them down. And sometimes, as I joke around in St. Lawrence County, they're just at the casino. And we do track them down to the casino and gently remind them to please let us know in advance if you're not going to be home, because we have to do this for every single person. Because as Dana said, we find people. This program literally saves lives. And I think people hear us say that and they don't understand how frequently it happens. And I can tell you at least a couple of times a week, I'm getting a story from, I have 5 nutrition sites of, oh yes, we found this person today. We called 911, or we found this person today and, her son was able to come over and check her. We had a story last year of the client didn't want the driver to call anyone. She just kept saying, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Don't create a fuss. Right. And she didn't look fine. So he did what he was supposed to do, called our office. We started checking into it. Her son went and checked on her. And long story short, she was hours away from being in a diabetic emergency. And her son wasn't going to see her for several days. And the doctor literally said, if you hadn't gotten here when you did, I don't know what would have happened. And I don't think you can underscore those stories enough, especially for rural counties. A lot of times, people don't have their kids living near them anymore. So that driver, as you said, Dana, it might be the only person they see all day, their connection to the outside world. So again, it's just so important for helping maintain that independence and dignity, but also keeping them safe.
Yeah, and I'm glad you both raised that, because that was a point I really wanted to get across. We talked a little bit about the average demographic for the home delivered meal program, and it's not surprising at all. I've heard many, many stories just like you that thank God for the driver, or somebody would have died. So before we head into break, tell us a little bit about what nutrition guidance is, because I think people understand congregate meals, right? That's at a site, people gather, social isolation, combating, etc. Now I don't know about home delivered meals. Talk to me about what nutrition guidance is.
Let you go first, Dana, since I just talked.
No problem. Nutrition guidance is one-on-one nutrition counseling with an RD. So when you have a situation in your life where you're newly diagnosed or managing a chronic illness, and dietary constructs make it so that you need some education on how to manage your diabetes, how to manage your hypertension or your coronary artery disease, you have the ability to have a one-on-one counseling session with a registered dietitian that will help you walk through a nutrition plan and follow up with you to see how you're doing and what the outcomes are. And then we have nutrition education, which is really a group setting, happens at the congregate settings. We have the ability to give information to a group of people every month on a different subject with regards to nutrition. We have something interesting here in Chautauqua County. It's going okay, I will say, but I'll take you back to that card. On the back of that card is a QR code that we have put together that takes you to our site, which has all kinds of nutrition information on it. So we're trying to make it as accessible as possible. But the nutrition guidance is really one-on-one or in a group setting, and it's really designed to help an individual or an individual and their family and their caregivers understand what needs to happen with their nutritional plan and gives good, solid information and tips on how to process that and how to move forward in taking care of your health.
Exactly. Thank you. So Dana and Andrea just told us about nutrition education, nutrition counseling, congregate meals, home delivered meals. We partnered, and I really have to thank the Office of Children and Family Services to create or administer throughout New York State what's called SNAP-Ed. And we have our own SNAP-Ed offerings. I want to thank the staff here at NYSOFA, but take a look at this video in terms of what's available to you through us as well.
Find your healthy eating style. Ask the Experts, Nutrition Edition. NYSOFA SNAP-Ed registered dietitian Lisbeth Irish explores diet and nutrition with the experts. Learn best practices for maintaining a healthy and active lifestyle. See what SNAP-Ed resources are available for you, and have your questions answered. Ask the Experts Nutrition Edition. New episodes premiere every month on NYSOFA's YouTube channel and Facebook page.
Yeah, we have amazing RDs here as well. So we have the traditional program, right, with the 4 components we just mentioned. We have SNAP-Ed, where we work with many of you guys locally, but also are doing things at the state level. But that's not all. We have a partnership with New York State Agricultural and Markets for what's called the Farmers Market Program, which is extraordinarily popular. So briefly, both of you, why don't we start with you, Andrea. Talk a little bit about the Farmers Market Program in St. Lawrence, how that operates, and then Dana, same with you.
Yeah, so Greg, I am glad you're talking about this program, because I will tell you, in St. Lawrence County, we actually have another name for it. We call it Willy Wonka's Golden Ticket, because that is how in demand these things are. We just received our first call for them already. So, as I'm sure in most areas, our farmer markets aren't open until, late spring, early summer. Certainly in St. Lawrence County, that's the case. But these are $25 in coupons that are in $5 increments that are available for fresh fruits and vegetables that can be used at your local farmers markets. And when you receive these coupons through your local office for the aging, you get a list of the farmers markets that accept those. And it's just a really great opportunity to get, support our local farmers, as well as encourage our clients to eat those fresh fruits and veggies. And again, hugely popular. Usually they're not available till after July 1st, which I guess if any clients are listening and want to register a complaint about that, that's usually the complaint. They would like them available right now to be able to hold on to until those farmer markets open. But again, I think it's something that shows how a simple program can make such a huge difference to folks and how meaningful it is to them.
Right. And not only that, but the benefit to the local agricultural community, which New York is really significant in New York State. Dana, how does your program work?
Very similarly. Everyone wants the coupons. They start calling, not quite as early in your county, but usually May and June, we start getting phone calls for them. And it's a very anticipated program. We have a great turnout. We give them out all over the county. We actually go to the farmers markets and talk to people about them and see if they're eligible with that age thing, that requirement. And then we tell them how to use them. And it's been just a fantastic resource for older adults. I like the golden ticket example. We have multiple farmers markets, and the older adults in our community really look forward to this program. We give out, I wish I had the number. I didn't write that down for this broadcast, but we give out quite a few of those in our county.
Yeah, and the redemption rate for the senior farmers market nutrition program is extraordinarily high. Mm-hmm. So we're going to, continue to work with ag and markets. So if the coupons that are used for younger populations are not redeemed, we can get those into the hands of our folks. So we have the traditional nutrition program. We have SNAP-Ed. We have farmers market, but that's not all that we do. Talk to us about how you and your staff work to increase benefit applications that people have. And what I'm talking about is SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. So for any of you guys out there listening, if you're a lower income individual, whether, who's older, The average SNAP benefit in New York State is about $220 per month. That's over $2,000 per year. Chances are, if you're eligible for SNAP, you're eligible for HEAP, the Heating Assistance Program, and you probably are eligible for what's called the Medicare Savings Program that can put $7,000 a year back into your pockets. Those three programs alone can put over $10,000 back in people's pockets. So talk a little bit about how you assist people in not only knowing that that SNAP and these other things are available to them, but assisting with the application process.
Sure, I can take that one. We have, as well as every county in New York State does, the New York Connects program, which is the Aging and Disability Resource Center. All of our first line calls go into our New York Connects staff, and there's a reason for that. When somebody is calling with a problem or looking for some information, these are specially trained staff that really can hear what the request is, answer that question, assist and possibly make a referral on their behalf, but also tell them about other programs. So as Greg said, with lower income older adults, they may be eligible for many of these programs that he just mentioned. In particular, for SNAP, we talk about mybenefits.ny.gov for those that want to go online and apply directly online. We also have, through Feed More of Western New York in our area, what's called a NOAP, or a Nutrition Outreach Education Program Coordinator, and they can go over the phone or to people's homes and help them fill out these applications. Our families and older adults can come into any of our offices and we can assist them as well, or help them understand how to access that online portal. But there's many ways to get the application assistance. And I can't say enough about our partners with the NOAP program. They do a wonderful job one-on-one with so many people. Lots of outreach, lots of social media blasts, lots of information out at different public events.
I'm glad you, go ahead, Andrea, I'm sorry.
I think as Dana said, getting out to the public as much as possible. We're always at every health fair, every, community event, whether it be, especially in the summer, there's lots of great festivals. We're at all of them. And, in particular, and I think it depends on the county and the availability, but like in our county, with the size of our county, it's hard for people to get to our local social services to maybe apply for some of those programs. So we have our New York Connect staff that can go out and do in-home application assistance. And that I think is critical, particularly for those homebound older adults who don't have a caregiver to maybe bring them into the office. We can do it over the phone, but we're also happy to, come to their house and provide that service for them as well.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely critical. And I'm glad that you had mentioned the Nutrition Outreach and Education Program. I'm going to date myself here. Those are funds that we get from the federal government, U.S. Ag and Markets, and New York State. And I used to work at Hunger Solutions, and that was my job, was senior nutrition, working with the NOAA providers that we provided grants to. In addition, if you go to our website, aging.ny.gov, during the pandemic, we did a lot of 101 basic videos on how to apply for these types of things. Because again, as was mentioned, Department of Social Services were shut down, offices were closed, and we wanted to provide an easy way for individuals to apply themselves from home. And so we basically take you through the entire process with experts, whether it be Medicaid, whether it be SNAP, whether it be HEAP, what each question means, what documentation you may or may not need, and where it needs to go. So that's another opportunity as well. So we're all loaded with efforts to try to serve the population that we care about in New York. So you think that might be it, but it's not. So we're going to show you something. We have another show at the state level with another one of our nutritionists that, I got to be honest with you, is more popular than my show, and it should be. And it's called What's Cooking with NYSOFA, and it's another feature that we have because of our partnership with Office of Children and Family Services and SNAP Ed New York. So take a look at this.
Millions of older adults and their families are enjoying What's Cooking with NYSOFA from the New York State Office for the Aging. Registered dietitian Wendy Beckman demonstrates how to make simple, nutritious recipes that won't break your budget. New episodes premiere every month on YouTube and Facebook. Find your favorites on our YouTube channel or visit snapedny.org to look up that special dish. What's cooking with NYSOFA? Save time, save money, and eat healthy.
And I think we wanted to show again with some volume, Dana, the ribbon cutting at your senior center. So let's have Alex tee that up for us. Alex, there's no
Just have to
audio.
imagine. Yay. So at that particular event, while he's thinking about that, we actually had our NOEP coordinator on site with our New York Connect staff, so that as people came in, we talked to them about the different services that were available, including things like SNAP and HEAP and application assistance, and getting other ideas on how to put extra money in their pocket so that they can continue to do well in the community. You know, all of the services that we look at with somebody are really wraparound services so that we can pull in as many resources for the individual or the family or the caregiver as possible. But it was a great day there. The food was great. There's that Parmesan cheese. It was ziti and meatballs and fruit and salad.
It does. Looks fantastic.
Yeah, it was really good.
And for those people who are listening and are maybe saying to themselves, well, I don't live in Chautauqua, I don't live in St. Lawrence, you guys are so amazing, I can follow that up with, we have a Dana and an Andrea in every single county of New York State. And I know them all, and they're all just amazing at what they do. So you have these same type of assets in whatever county, and the first place you go is to your county office for aging. So before we move into audience questions, is there anything that you wanted to raise that I didn't ask you about? And if you do, feel free.
I think the only other thing that I would add for our county is we started a program with Cornell Cooperative Extension. I think we're in our second or third year, probably second, called Local Roots. And so we have local farms that are growing local produce, and then they are being packaged in smaller quantities that, you know, when you go buy a bushel of apples and you live by yourself, that's a little bit overwhelming, and maybe you wouldn't buy anything else. So we're packaging small amounts of local produce throughout the season. The growing season is anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks. And then our older adults can sign up for this program called Local Roots, and then they can have this fresh fruit and produce at pickup spots all throughout our county. And it's been really, really well received. And we paired that with a farm tour last year, which I was really pleased with because, you know, the more we learn about how our food is locally sourced and what goes into it, the better we appreciate the food on our plate. There was a picture of the herbs that we give out every year. We have a big celebration in May, as all of us do for Older Americans Month in May, and we give out the fresh herbs and we give container gardens to folks, and we have master gardeners talking about how to grow these on a windowsill or a sunny spot in your home or on your patio, and then how to cook with them. So everything is hand in glove moving forward. And they'll SNAP education pieces on NYSOFA. We have linked to our website, and they are fantastic. They teach you how to take those natural ingredients and follow a recipe, and you create something that's just wonderful that you then want to turn around and share with your friends and family.
I love it. Andrea?
I think I would add, just talking about the issue of food insecurity. We've talked about all these wonderful programs to help people access food. And I think the biggest hurdle is often just making that first phone call it's hard for people to admit that maybe they need a little bit of help, and knowing that they can call one of our offices and they're going to get a kind, caring person on the other line that is what we do. We're dedicated to helping them find whatever service they need. Because we also work, in addition to the programs we provide, I think a very underutilized resource in many of our communities are food pantries. There's a program called Food Sense. There's a lot of different things that we can help clients get access to. I mean, we have some local food pantries here that deliver to senior housing complexes. And if you think about it, the more it's used, the more money for grants they can apply for. So, and oftentimes we'll have our food pantries call us towards the end of the week and say, hey, listen, can you come over and pick up a bunch of milk, produce that's going to go bad by Monday and distribute it to senior housing housing complexes. So I think really encouraging folks to just, ask the questions, don't make the assumption of, oh, well, there's nothing available. There's no help. Nope. Call us, because I guarantee you we have some of the most clever, crafty staff members in the world. I like to say probably the best humans in the world work for State Office for the Aging and for local counties Office for the Aging. And this is what we do. So reaching out for those resources, because I think people would be surprised of how much is available.
I totally agree with you. And I think, I'm glad you raised that about, the different benefits, but SNAP in particular. There's a couple of things that people generally think. They think that the benefit is so small, it's not worth it. That is not true. Secondly, that if I'm getting the benefit, then that means somebody else is not getting it. That is not true. And that it's welfare. It is not. And the examples I always use is, how many of us own our own homes? Probably a lot of us. And I know what the numbers are. How many of you get STAR? Right? Everybody. If you are sending your kid to college or did do that, how many of you applied for TAP and Pell? Everybody. What's the difference between those two? And I could go on and on with examples. And possibly food assistance or heating assistance later in life when you're on a fixed income that your taxpayer dollars paid for. So there really is no difference. But for some reason, as a culture, we make it difficult for people or vilify some of these programs that are absolutely necessary as you get older. So thanks for raising that. Let's get to some audience questions. When I was in school, we were taught the 4 food groups. Then there was a pyramid and a plate. How are we supposed to know what to eat anymore?
There you go. MyPlate.gov. I think it's great because I remember the 4 food groups. I remember the pyramid and the concept about it. But MyPlate.gov makes it so simple. It's so visual that it's easy to follow. You don't have to think about a pyramid or, just 4 things and how would you do it. So you have this great resource in all of the Office for Aging across the state with a dietitian and dietetic education. And these are things that are available to you. But myplate.org is a way to understand how to take in the proper ratio of food groups so that you can have a balanced and nutritious meal.
Yeah, through the SNAP Ed program, one of the key things is public education, exactly using those types of resources.
Yeah.
My grocery bill keeps going up. I feel like I can't afford healthy food anymore. How can I get help? Well, we could repeat what we just talked about. Go ahead, Andrea.
Yeah, absolutely. Call us, right? Call your local Office for the Aging. We will link you to the help and support that you need, through our Compass assessment that we do. As Dana talked about earlier, we know that sometimes when someone calls, they might be, need more than just what they call for, or they don't even know that a service is available. So we're going to be looking at those income levels, and we're going to be saying, hey, did you know you could, SNAP benefits and HEAP and all of these things are talking about MSP. So making that phone call to say what is available, because we can say, yes, actually your local food pantry delivers to your housing. So every Friday you can get this, this, and this. And I think just having, those answers, and as well as, I don't know if we mentioned it or not, but the registered dietitian services are free. Right? That's something that's paid from our funding. So taking advantage of, hey, I have a, new heart issue. I got to eat a heart healthy diet. How do I do that? Knowing that you can get that counseling service. In our county, we're very fortunate. Many counties aren't as fortunate that they have a local registered dietitian that they contract with. Our RD can do phone consultations. She can do home visits. And I think that that's extremely beneficial as well for those people who say, well, just buying the case of ramen is so much cheaper. Why shouldn't I buy that? Well, let us try to help you figure out to eat healthy on a budget. And that's something, we have people who are experts at doing.
Yeah, it's a little too salty, I think.
It's, you can't.
I'm going to date myself because I think what you just said is really important. People don't have any idea of all the resources that are out there. But usually the first phone call, or whether it be personal or from somebody, a loved one, is whatever the crisis is at hand. And there usually are many, many things that somebody may need or may be eligible for. And you talked about the Compass assessment. The Compass is just our comprehensive assessment tool. But I started as a case manager in 1992 in Monroe County, doing exactly what Andrea just said, and that's been my experience, and I'm sure it's been the experience of everybody else, at least for the 33 years I've been around. My dad is in his 80s. He lives alone and can't stand long or see well. I stock his freezer with frozen meals when I visit every month. Would home delivered meals be better for him? Yes.
Home delivered meals is a great choice, but I also love that they are visiting and bringing some of the core traditional dishes that, that son or daughter, grew up with and that their dad loves. So, food is so ingrained in our soul, just like music. And to have those traditional dishes are important, but Meals on Wheels or home delivered meals would be a great addition to what that caregiver and that adult daughter or son is doing for them. And obviously we've said that the gateway is New York Connects to talk about what the situation is and again, how to create that informal and formal support service quilt that we want to wrap people up in and make sure they're doing well.
Yeah, and I'm not sure where that question originated or where this individual lives, but it sounds like he can ambulate, just not long. So if it's an area, again, we have over 800 senior centers and congregate meal sites in New York. So you could do a combination of continuing to provide, for your dad to check in, and what Dana talked about, can provide home delivered meals, but also, it might be in an area that has transportation to get somebody to a senior center to, again, because he lives alone, to socialize. How much do home delivered meals cost, Andrea?
I think this is probably one of the biggest misconceptions, is that this is an income-based program. There's income eligibility. Nope, home delivered meals, as long as you meet the other eligibility criteria that I mentioned before, being primarily homebound, having certain health conditions, it is a contribution-based program. So no one's kicked off due to inability or unwillingness to contribute. Again, we just want to feed people, right? We know that that's our job, to take great care of these folks, to keep them at home for as long as possible. So every month they would receive a contribution statement. I tell people, it says right on the top, this is not a bill. If you can contribute something towards your meal, great. If you can't, that's fine too. For the folks who can't, we tell them, crumple it up. Don't even pay attention to it. Don't open that envelope. We just want to make sure you continue to get served, because we do have folks at every income level on this program. And we have, some folks who are lower income and, maybe only can contribute a little bit or not at all. And then we have some folks who like to be able to pay it forward and say, listen, I am comfortably retired. However, this program is keeping me in my house. So I want to, pay it forward. We had a gentleman, and I cannot name him because he said he would never give the contributions again if I ever told his name. He has since passed away, but he had owned a local car dealership and he had done quite well. So he donated significantly large amounts every quarter to us, and that was the deal. He'd continue to do so as long as I didn't tell anybody he was doing it, because he was doing it out of the goodness of his heart. And he was able to stay at home until he was 100. And his family said to us, when he passed, it was because of the meals and the safety checks that he was able to remain home for as long as possible.
Yeah, so I just want to reiterate, there is no cost for congregate meals or home delivered meals. It's actually against the law to mandate a contribution. Those are voluntary. And, again, for the people that I've provided throughout the years at Offices for the Aging, whether it be on home delivered meal or in a congregate setting, know how valuable those meals are. And these small contributions that they provide, they really add up. We pull in, between congregate meals, home delivered meals, and transportation statewide, $15 million in small contributions that then go right back into the program to help individuals that can't, or to expand services. So it's really, really important. Let's do this last question. How do I find the nearest congregate dining site location?
Website, social media, call New York Connect friends.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
We've got all kinds of
picking up the phone. There's lots of ways, and anyone can call. It can be you, it can be your caregiver, it can be a friend, it can be a family member. If you're concerned about someone, in your, in your community that maybe they're not eating, or they need our help, you can call. Obviously informed consent is a very important piece of what we do, and we make sure we get those consents. But, if somebody's in trouble, certainly make the call. Let us know.
And the New York Connects number is there. That's a statewide number that you can put in the county, and it'll get routed directly to the Offices for the Aging. But if there's an issue, a language barrier, it will come here to our office, and we will connect you. So Dana, Andrea, I cannot thank you enough. It's been a lot of fun. I love this program. I love the components of it. I love the partnerships that we have with other agencies, and certainly what you guys do at the local level is yeoman's work. As both of them had said, any concern, make the first call. Call New York Connects, call your local Office for Aging. You would be shocked at what they do every single day. So our next show is going to be with my good friend Jim Furman from Better Age, that has created an incredible public health tool for older adults to address various areas of their lives that they're either struggling in, thriving in, so on, isolation, functional ability, et cetera. It's a very unique tool that we've been launching and spreading across New York State. As always, I want to thank my communications team, Alex, Roger, and Darren, that somehow make these productions absolutely incredible. And so we will see you April 3rd at 1 p.m. If you haven't liked us yet on the YouTube page, please do that. We have tons of content on a lot of very important issues that matter to older adults and the people who love them, as well as their kids and caregivers. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you at April 3rd.
Live with Greg is a production of the New York State Office for the Aging Communications Bureau. Please join us next time.